Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. I'm so excited to be talking season 7, episode 6, Raw. We have a very special guest. JC MacKenzie is here. Hello.
Hi guys, how are you?
Oh, we're so excited to have you. Of course, I'm Yael Tygiel. I'm joined as always by Taylor Gates.
Hello.
And Felicia Michelle.
Hi.
Hello. Before we jump into season 7, episode 6, Raw, I would like to remind everyone, if you're in a situation where you need help, please reach out to the RAINN Hotline. Their number is 1-800-656-4673, 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, what does 4673 spell?
It spells out hope, everyone.
It does spell hope. Yeah. So again, if you are in a situation, please reach out. They are there for you.
They're a great organization.
They really are.
Yeah.
And this episode deals with a lot of serious issues. But if you've ever seen us review, you know that we don't do that. So be prepared for jokes that may offend. You've been warned. Fair. Let's do it. Cool. So this episode, the quick cap, is an investigation of a horrific school sniper attack leads the team to a particularly obnoxious neo-Nazi group.
Oh, I think that's valid.
Particularly obnoxious than all the others?
Yeah, that was my question.
Yes, good point too, though.
What did we think of this episode? Because this is one of my favorites, which is a very odd statement to say. Felicia, what do you think about this episode?
I mean, I guess they were just like, we're just going to hit a bunch of different areas really quick, like school shootings, like gun rights and gun sales. And, you know, let's just go ahead and Salt Bay and some racism and anti-Semitism. And there you go. Like, here's a perfect episode of Law and Order SVU. And then, like, literally all the storylines that just came from that one episode, too. So, yeah, I can see why it's one of your favorites. I know it's weird to say it's one of your favorites because it's so messed up, but it's one of my favorites, too.
Oh, look at that.
That's the thing. Like, it has everything. It has Dana Lewis, which we all know that she's one of my favorite characters. Like, she's just so wonderful.
So
and it was crazy. Yes. And I was looking up, well, we'll get into the poll, but she's only in 4 episodes. And I feel like she's made such an impact that I always think she's in like 10, but she's only in 4 episodes. So we get the introduction of her. I think it's one of the, like, honestly, one of the saddest episodes out there. It's like very upsetting and messed up. But it also has like those weird twists and turns. I don't know. I think it's just, it has so many like things rolled into one that I just think it's a really solid and different and interesting episode.
You know, I don't watch TV, particularly myself on the TV, but you guys asked me to, so I thought it might be wise to do so. I was shocked at how, not shocked, but I thought it was very good. I mean, the storyline, the acting, all the characters well drawn out. The fact that it came from, ripped from the headlines. Where did it actually come from? I'm not familiar with the.
Oh, we will get there. I have all of the headlines.
Oh.
This is ripped from like a whole bunch of stuff, like they like to do on SVU. They like to take a couple stories and put them together.
Right.
But this one specifically takes from a group called the White Aryan Resistance, which is war, as opposed to Raw.
Raw, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will tell you more about that a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, but at the ending, how that creepy young couple, adopted the boy to kill him so that they could get $750,000. That's nuts. I mean, was that ripped from the headlines?
That is not particularly a headline that was, or at least not one that happened before this episode. That said, I remember, I don't know why that moment, this viewing, I was like, oh, really think about it. They literally adopted a child to have him murdered.
Great.
Which is heartless.
Do you know what was kind of brilliant in that episode is Maren Hinkle, when she comes out.
I was going to say that.
She comes out and she's initially told her son has died. I mean, it is, talk about raw. I mean, that performance is brilliant because you honestly feel for a woman who's just lost her child. And then you find out at the end it was all this weird thing to get money, you know. So it's I thought it was very well directed and very well acted.
Yeah, I love that it was her too, because she's such a good comedic actress that it was so interesting to see her in this very dramatic, like dark role.
I actually prefer her in this dark stuff than the comedic stuff. Although, as I say, I don't. She's on Maisel, right?
She's on Maisel. She was on Speechless, which was one of my favorite shows when it was on. I think she was on 2.5 Men. I didn't watch that a whole lot, but she's been in a lot of comedies, and so it was interesting to see her not in a comedy.
I did a movie with her about 5-6 years ago called The Commencement, independent film, and I played her boyfriend or whatever. She's so kind and nice. So, such a sweetheart.
You've worked with so many amazing people. You're currently at the movie The Trial of Chicago 7, which is currently winning awards everywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I shot in Jersey about a year and a bit ago. Well, November of 2019, I guess. And it was I've never been so intimidated in my entire career, because you're in a courtroom and surrounded by maybe 15 of the greatest character actors that have ever worked. Mark Rylance, Sacha Baron Cohen, Jeremy Strong. And I didn't have a lot to do, although I was there the majority of the time. And Aaron Sorkin, the camera would come around sometimes and pan to you for your 1 to 2 lines. And I literally panicked. I had the majority of my dialogue on my hand, because I was like, I don't want to fuck this up. I can't fuck this up. I know I only have 1 line, but I don't want to fuck it up. Anyway, but it was, Aaron's such a great writer. Anyway, we're getting off topic. We're not talking about the SVU.
You're here to talk about you, so it's on topic.
I don't think that's off topic at all. I think that's actually like a lesson there, is that like everyone looks at you and probably like, oh, he probably doesn't get nervous, but you're literally like, I wrote that shit on my hand because I didn't know how it was going to go for me.
I'm nervous constantly. I'm nervous right now. Yeah, I'm nervous about.
Care. That means you care.
Yeah, that's right. It means I care. And I'm neurotic.
You and me both.
Most entertainers and most entertainers or creative people tend to be a little bit like that. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some lines, because your character of Brian Ackerman says, I think, some of the funniest lines, and we'll get to our favorites a little bit later.
Yeah. Hillary and all that stuff.
Yes. But,
oh my God.
How is it to play a neo-Nazi? What's that like?
I think it's really tough, because you want to believe in what you're saying. So what I do is kind of play a mind game on myself that they're the racists and I'm responding to them in terms of anger. And, it's just because I got to do something. I mean, the shit I'm saying is crazy, in the episode. So, that's just a little tricky thing I do for myself, no one else,
Yeah.
I often wonder that, though. I'm sorry, how
go ahead.
People like actors who play roles that people are just, their characters are just horrific. Like, how do you do that? Because everyone's like, everyone wants to act and be the superhero or like the funny person, but no one wants to be like the pedophile or like the neo-Nazi.
I'd rather be the pedophile, actually, not a real pedophile, but to play one, because there's so much more to grab onto. All these, like, all I do are play creeps and nuts and weirdos and billionaires. I play a lot of billionaires, not millionaires, billionaires, people with $1 billion. So I play a lot of lawyers too, and my partner thinks it's hysterical. I play a lot of smart, really wealthy guys, and I'm a poor idiot. That's what she says. That's a lie. So anyway.
Go ahead. So this episode starts with a school shooting, and we have. I love we have this very small little storyline about Mr. Bug Eyes, and I love it so much because this little girl can't say Bughazy, and that for whatever reason amuses the hell out of me.
Right.
And we find out that she's being abused, and her uncle beats the shit out of Mr. Bug Eyes. which
Wow.
has
That's a great
nothing
scene,
to do.
by the way.
It's so great and has nothing to do with the story of the episode.
No, the first like 15% of this is just a completely different story.
Yeah, a bit of a red herring. Yeah, you're right. You think it's going to be about school shooting and Second Amendment rights, but this whole neo-Nazi thing comes in and sort of
and insurance fraud. Like, just throw that in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No. I've done like 4 of Law and Orders, playing different characters throughout, but this was by far my most favorite to do because it was such an interesting story and character to play.
Yeah, this is like I said, one of my favorite episodes. So we start with the 3 children who get shot. We have Annabelle, who we later find out is too pretty to be Jewish, which so sorry.
What was that?
I'm aware that I am also too pretty to be Jewish, but I am. Danny, who gets shot in the leg. Yes, of course, the humblest.
Oh God.
Danny, who gets shot in the leg and then just stares at it.
Yeah.
I love that. That is such a brilliant moment. You just see the blood oozing out from his leg because that's what would happen. He's in shock.
I feel like, I don't know about you all, but when I like hurt myself, if I don't look at it, I won't feel the pain. But as soon as I look at it, I feel the pain.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I was waiting for this kid to start screaming.
I actually noted that. I thought it was kind of a brilliant, I can't remember who directed it. Kaplan, I think, directed it. But I thought it was kind of a nice choice for a kid. I mean, all those kids are great, too. How about that little child with that little voice? She could barely speak. She was so hoarse. I mean, she was lovely. I mean, it's a lovely little actress, you know?
No, they did a great job. Then he sent us on another wild goose chase. He has a gun. He brought it to school last week. I was like, oh my God. You think, oh my God, it's a kid now. Like, it's like, no, his mom. And then his mom was but the part where his mom was going to smack him in front of the police, I was like,
wow. You know, the only thing that kind of bothers me about Law and Order is that the people that the detectives go up to ask questions, they're always doing something. They're doing the dishes. They're taking out the garbage. They're wiping the bar. Listen, if a detective's coming to talk to me, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to stop cleaning the phone or, doing my activity. I like it. It adds to the reality of it, but I think it's too much. It's a little too much.
They're busy people. They don't got time for that.
They're on the clock usually. They like come into their office. I like when they're in a factory, so they have to keep doing what they're doing because like they're on the clock.
I'm going to continue unpacking this meat.
Yeah. Our good friend Daryl's in the chat and he says this episode featured the CSI with the square jaw who used to always show up. What a description. I love it.
Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl. Yes. So we go on this wild goose chase that leads us nowhere. But we start looking into where this gun came from. And it takes us to Gun Ho, I believe was the name.
Gun Ho. Yep.
Wow.
What a name.
That's really astute of you to pick that up.
I mean, it was a very specific name.
I know. It's funny. Gung Ho. I miss that.
Gun Ho.
You actually didn't get to like shoot in the store. You weren't even in your own store.
No, thank God. A Nazi flag it's against the law in the United States to have a Nazi flag. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That seems odd since there were so many.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe on a television set they have license to do it or something. But who knew? You can't have a Nazi flag, in your home.
Oh.
Well, that's good. I'm glad about that. But
yeah, pretty good.
I will say there are a lot of Nazi flags in this episode. I would say by far the coolest one is the one made with the beer
Bottle
caps.
caps.
Yeah. It's like
Oh,
look up. I was like, oh, that should be on Pinterest. That is interesting. How did you do that? Like, did you did you line it up first? Did you sketch it out? Like, how did you do that?
Right.
It was so symmetrical. I was like, wow. I was actually low key impressed. I was like, oh,
it's so impressive.
How great was that guy, man? That big guy. He was so great.
So I'm such a big fan of his from Orange is the New Black. So to see him in this role, we're going to give that shout out to Joel Marsh Garland, who played Brandon Lee Redding. He is really so good. I love his interactions with Casey Novak. When he's like hitting on her.
Yeah, great. Hit on her. Sure, you're a neo-Nazi.
You could make some beautiful white babies. Like,
oh my god.
Okay.
That's
exactly what she's going for.
He's got his shirt off. God bless him, man. He's just living
his life.
Yep. He's not ashamed.
I have him down for one of my favorite lines from the show when we talk about it. Some of his lines are like absolutely my favorite.
Right.
Just
so great. So funny. So funny.
Yeah. And then we also have so Brian and his son Kyle and their website. I love we have this very short little moment where Wong is explaining how like the internet helped these communities come together, which is like so weird because this episode is from
2006, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Hate groups love the internet, links them together and lets them rant. I was like, yeah, that's more relevant than ever to say that right now.
Boy, is it ever? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet it did seem you knew it was from a long time ago because of that. I mean, it was just that one line, but yeah, it certainly changed, and particularly the last 4 years have been considerably different than any other time.
Yeah. I think it reminds me of a time when everyone had to make their own website to get their message out, whereas now you can pick a platform.
Yeah.
Anyone, pick one, anyone. Well, no, in 2006, okay, let me think. I was in high school. No, because that was when social media really was starting to pick up. That's when, like, it was like MySpace was the thing. It was like Tom and MySpace and like top 4, top 8, all that.
Top 8. Stuff. So in 2006, Facebook had just opened up to the public and was no longer requiring you to have a school email to sign up.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Because it was just for college students at first. I remember I was salty. I was like, still in high school, but I wanted to be on Facebook.
I was one of the last years of you had to have a college email, and then they opened up to everybody. So I was very excited to be exclusive, and then it wasn't.
And now you're
ripped away.
Your grandparents,
your
grandparents' friends, the lady who you went to church with or synagogue. I don't know. They're all on there.
My grandparents in a different country. They're on there. Ridiculous. So we have also some lawyers who, if you're watching currently season 22, are judges at this point. So we have Heshi Horowitz, whom I love, and Barry Murdoch, who is our First Amendment lawyer and now judge. So it's one of my favorite things when the show lets them move up in their careers. Unlike the judge who got shot and died, this was also his first and only.
John Rubinstein, yeah, great New York theater actor.
Oh,
yeah,
I love it.
That's what they do.
So many theater actors.
Yeah, I mean that's a great thing about a show like that. It's employed so many actors for so many years. All 3 of them, when all 3 of them are on, it was crazy. It's nuts. You'd definitely be doing a Law and Order. I don't know one actor that hasn't done a Law. Well, maybe a few.
I do, and I like to rub it in his face. Because you haven't made it if you're not on SVU.
Literally, I was thinking that. I was like, every time I watch it, or I've been watching from the beginning now for a couple weeks. There's a lot of episodes of Law and Order, y'all. But I get so excited every time I see someone and I recognize, I was like, they were probably so excited to get this and now they're doing that. Or you see them in other projects. Like I like a lot of indie stuff too. It's like you see them in different areas. You're just like really excited because like, oh, for me, it's like they're still acting because I know how easy it is to want to give up on like a dream that's like not very linear, like a lot of other careers, and acting is just not one of those things. And there's ebbs and flows, and you're like, wow, I'm glad I can see someone shot this maybe 10 years ago, but they're still working, they're still doing something, like they're still doing.
Or you see current stars that are that back then were just doing an episodic, and you know, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to observe that.
That reminds me of That reminds me of Yael's little theory about like if someone is guest starring. What is the exact theory that you have, Yael, about if someone's like guest starring, they're the murderer, they're going to get their own show next year? No.
The theory is if they're pretty well known, but not the big, huge guest star of the week, and they have some sort of big emotional storyline, then within 3 years they will be the lead of their own show. And it worked for Maria Bello. It happened with Deborah Messing. It happened with Eric McCormick. So like they were known from Will and Grace, but they weren't like, they were there to do an episode and then they got a lead of a new show. And it happened again recently with Will Sasso, and I called it.
Yes. And the Will Sasso is the one I remember you saying, and it's a great theory. I love it.
I mean, it doesn't mean the show's gonna keep going. It just means they're gonna get the lead of a
wait. Who's Will Sasso?
He was on Mad TV years ago, and he's done a lot of comedic stuff. He's a bigger dude, and he just did 2 seasons ago. He was in Send in the Clowns, and then that episode, and then he just had a show. It didn't. Look, the show got picked up and then got canceled. But my theory still stands.
Okay.
That is true. You didn't say the show was like going to go forever and ever, but you just say that.
I said they'll get the lead.
It happened.
Because Maria Bello also got the lead of that show where she wore the hat. That's all I remember.
It's a great show. Yeah.
Then it got canceled.
It didn't sound like it got canceled, yes.
It's a good theory. I stand by it.
Theory. It is.
It is.
It's math right there.
Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about the plot of this episode, because once we got to what actually was happening, we find out that the Ackerman's organization is made a deal with the neo-Nazis, which are the skinheads. I'm really confused as to how they're different organizations.
Well, there are
because the Ackerman's is like organized and like, okay, you're still a Nazi, like.
Well, there are all sorts of subsets within that, wide umbrella of, racists, I think. Particularly now. I mean, you got the Proud Boys, you got the, all these right-wing radical groups, a lot of which are violent. So I imagine it's worse now, actually.
Probably. But, I mean, I guess... Now I see the difference. Like now I do see, there's the Proud Boys and the alt-right and the whoever's, I don't know their names, QAnon. Like they all have their own little differences. But to me, someone on the other side going, they're all this one thing. And I guess they're also looking at us saying the same thing.
Yeah. Wow. I just, realized that they might be looking at us. We're safe, right? We're all right.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
We're safe. We're fine. So anyway, this group made this deal with this other group that they are going to track race traitors, which I want an episode about that. First of all, how do you do that?
Yeah, how do you try?
Especially without Facebook. You know what I mean?
Especially with full-time employment. Like, how do you have time to keep up with anybody but yourself? I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm thinking like a normal person. I always say don't impart rational thinking on irrational people. And people who have that much amount of hate in them are seriously irrational. Especially when it just comes down to melanin and hair texture, like things that don't really we're not really that different. As beings, but I don't really have any words to this episode. I really actually have a whole lot of words, so I'm trying to let other people speak. I just thought it was very interesting to watch as JC was saying, kind of like this was in 2006 and now we're in 2021. And you would think, oh, okay, well, I'm going to watch something 15 years ahead and it's going to be more progressive. And it's like, damn, like this episode, if we just change up some of the technology, like, it's very much so exactly could be happening right this instant. And we wouldn't even probably bat an eyelash at it. And if that really happened, like this is a fictional story, you know, made of a bunch of different parts put together, a little SVU jambalaya or smorgasbord or buffet. But this whole linear, this whole thing could actually happen. And I was sitting there watching that like, oh, I'm entertained, but I'm also disturbed at the same time because like this really could happen. And I didn't realize watching the episode, like, damn, it's like, we put a lot of attention on everyone saying the N-word and stuff. And I was like, damn, I forgot about all these other racial slurs. There are a lot. It's like, wow. Like there was some I rewatched. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that that's something that you say to like someone else. Like I didn't, like a lot of these, I'm like, oh, I didn't know what that was. Specifically the ones like towards Jewish people. Cause I grew up in like the Northeast. So it's like, there's all types of people. So if anybody was going to say anything like that, they probably weren't going to say it to the Black girl. So, I don't know, like a lot of the ones that I heard that Dana Lewis said, I was like, I've never even heard of those type of
She says one of my favorites, and I think I told you guys last time. It's just I find it so funny, honestly, when she sniffs at Munch and then goes, Jew. I cannot for the life of me figure out what she's smelling. JC left. I have no idea what it is that she's supposed to be smelling. I'm like thinking about, I'm trying to think of all the offensive things they say about Jews. And I can't figure out what it is because is it that Jews, do they smell like money? Is that what the smell is? Like, I don't understand what the smell is. Somebody tell me what Jews are supposed to smell like. Cause I smell fantastic.
I think it's me.
I don't know.
JC, you played the racist. What does a Jew smell like?
Like, I'm simply not going down this route.
I don't even like. I don't know.
All right. Well, I find it hilarious.
I want to say I'm surprised that NBC let them air this. Kind of like this is like network TV. I don't know. I was kind of it always surprises me when I hear some of the stuff they say on this episode in particular because it's like, this is not Netflix, like this is not Hulu, this is NBC. So it kind of surprises me. I kind of wonder how they like got around that.
I think that's fine. I think that like a lot of stuff I watch. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, didn't they said the N-word?
Yeah.
I think that it's not shocking to me because it was 2006. Like, remember, you gotta really think like a lot of stuff that I've been watching a lot of old movies recently, and I'm like, that shit would never fly right now. Like some of the comedies they watch. Tu Wong Fu, one of my favorite movies, would never ever work in this day and age. Even if it got the green light before they even stepped on a set, that would be canceled.
Yeah,
and it's just true. Like different things don't work during different time periods as society moves along and progresses. This worked in 2006. We can accept it because it was 2006 and we all lived in 2006 and know what it's like to like,
that's a good point.
Be an adult-ish, you know,
yep.
But that wouldn't work. Like now, I don't think that they would do that, or they would say something else. I don't know. Also, Porch Monkey is like a really old one. I'm like, Sambo, Porch Monkey, like they couldn't think anything better than that. But
yeah.
But hey, it's 2006. It's a different time.
Wait, who says that?
Totally.
I think Redding.
Yeah, at trial, he was like, he says,
Redding says it, right?
That they paid me to shoot the Sambo. Yeah, he's like they got me to shoot the Sambo. Right. He called little boy a Sambo when he was on the stand.
I am not familiar with that term.
It's like I'm gonna have y'all look.
It's a racist.
So that I don't. Even
no, that's fine. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's really, really old. It's like a coon, like a caricature type of depiction of Black people, like Sambo, blackface, Sambo, like that. So
okay. Yeah. So Redding ends up testifying because he was hired essentially or offered, I guess, to do this gig to take out a corrections officer's kid. And
a race trader.
Yes, but also a corrections officer, which so like double. And then in court, we have Kyle who shoots and some other dude who came out of nowhere and was never really explained. They shoot the judge, Redding, Munch, and Stabler. As Daryl points out in the chat, Stabler is a real bullet magnet.
He really is. I was just thinking that because I just watched the episode. He was at shop and he got blinded in one episode. Like a bullet ricochets off him in another. Like he really is. Like,
a lot of these are when Dana Lewis's character is on the show. It's like a joke he says. I forget when. It's like what was it? And Informed, he got blown away.
Yeah.
That was the Earth group or whatever. I forget what happened to him, but he like multiple times that he's around her, he says it every time I'm around you. Penetration, I think he got shot again or something happened to him. He was like, every time I'm around you, I get hurt, and he literally does. All times in an episode, he was injured. Like he went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Or how about him not wanting Kathy to be called after he was shot? I was like, she started.
It's always funny to yeah, it's always funny to see where their marriage is because it has so many ups and downs. I'm just like, oh yeah, this is when they were having a rough time. Like,
yeah, he as we find out where this is a storyline during the like. Excellent question,
Isabel Gillies.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, okay.
So this is the beginning of that divorce storyline, which later leads us into like Danny Beck's storyline. And then she comes back or Kathy gets called when he gets hurt with Danny. He gets stabbed with a pen, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Danny was wild. I don't know. She was a wild girl.
Danny was wild.
Danny Beck. And in the end, we find out that Star Morrison was actually undercover Dana Lewis. What I think is so fun about this, knowing now where this leads to, and it leading to the return of Brian Ackerman. JC, did you know when this episode aired that this would come back into play?
You never know. I was shocked, actually. I think to say we're bringing the character back, do you want to do it? So for until the very, very, very end. 3-4 scripts ahead of time. But I think I had a head writer, or not the head writer, but and say, we love that storyline, fit that in there, and would you be open to it? So you want to do it? If you do, it's great. Put it in. Yeah. Can I just the actors? I think it's really important to talk. It's not sweet. They are. This is a very little bit because there's a lot of theater actors. So not theater actors, but this is a great, great group of people. They've been doing this show now for what? Over 20 years. So easy. I'm guest star all the time. It's so easy. Not engaging, not unique group of human beings who happen to love with a lot of theater, and they're so kind and nice. I'm very unusual set in that sense.
Oh, that makes me happy to hear.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
They're
really, really
my heart.
Such a team player, a great actress, encouraging. Wants the for 2 decades. It's nuts.
Yeah.
That made me like the show more.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That thing. There's a reason that thing's been going on a long time.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No, we want to hear this. This is what we want to know.
Yeah.
We haven't been there. We don't know.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe someday.
Yes. Let's talk about, we talked a little bit about the end and what the twist, the reveal is that these Whitlocks took out 2 insurance policies, literally adopted a child to kill him because they're heartless. And then the last line of the episode is, we're not racist. We just needed the money.
Shut up.
Both things can be true.
Both things. I can't. Who?
Yep.
They specifically knew that it was going to be easier and cheaper to adopt a Black child who was over a certain age within the system. So that, if that's not racist, because racism isn't just interpersonal, it's systemic. If that's not racism, baby, I don't know what is. Like, I really have no other definition for systemic racism other than the fact that they were like, let me adopt this little Black boy that don't nobody want. Like, and then kill him, get him killed. I'm like, that is horrible, because it's still a child. You know, most people, even if they are, in my experience of life, even if they are racist or they have those microaggressions of interpersonal racism, it usually doesn't fall on children. Like, they're usually a bit kinder or a bit gentler. Now, there still might be those undertones of racism in dealing with an adult like that, but it was usually they're kinder because children are small, they're innocent, like puppies, like, you know, like they're like animals, like they can't fend for themselves. So there's usually some presumption of innocence that gives people like a bit of a heart for them. And I was like, y'all have no heart. Like, y'all are not just racist, y'all are soulless.
I think that, like, also this episode does a good job of, like, the subtle message of, like, yeah, there are racists who are obviously very outward with their beliefs, but then there are people like this who are just as, like, insidious and disgusting, but they keep it inside and they're low-key about it. And that's, like, one of the most depressing parts about this, I think. It's like, this is everywhere, whether you're speaking out or not.
JC?
Up front. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, I think. Oh no, go ahead.
But they're particular because you can see them, you know, out there with these microaggressions that you mentioned. But you're right. I mean, that somebody would stoop to do.
Yeah.
That's scary. I literally would much rather you drive in the back. I live in Louisiana, so drive with your pickup truck in the back with like whatever flags that you're displaying your rebel. I'd rather Confederate rebel flag, heritage, whatever you want to call it. I'd rather you wave that in my actual face than for you to be low key like racist, and then I'm dealing with you and I'm interfacing with you and giving you the benefit of the doubt that you are not like this because of how you interact with me. But you could very well treat other people who look like me in my community quite differently, or you might talk about me differently behind my back. And I just rather you be like, I don't like Black people. And I'd be like, okay, cool. Like I can deal with that.
How often has that happened?
Like people like having Confederate flags down here?
Like, no, like have you encountered, or is it covert? Is it sort of like or whatever?
It's well, I have a different profession. I work in, I think my profession also is a thing of it because I work in television news. So the people who even recognize me in this community, they know me from being on the news. So I don't think that they interface with me the same way that they would other people. No,
I see.
It's so usually it's more like covert, like it's more like a compliment of how I speak, or a compliment of really? I don't mean any offense, but I just want to tell you that I like your hair. It's like, why would you tell me you like my hair and be offensive to me? Like, so it's like smaller, weird. It's like weird. Like, I swear, it's like weird instances like that. But I think a lot of people really are actually uncomfortable, and
Younger
it's
people?
not. young. Oh no, it's definitely older people. It's definitely older.
Is that from
people.
old? Generational.
They're a little older. Yeah, young people don't watch the news. JC, young people are not watching the news. Okay, it's not anybody my age watching the news. I mean, somebody my age, they're like, oh, why told you move here? You're like, oh, I did the news. They'll be like, okay, well, what channel? Because I don't watch the news every time. Like, young people don't know. So it's usually people who are older.
Well, let's unless there's anything else you want to say about the episode, I want to get into some of our favorite lines.
Oh yeah.
Taylor, anything you wanted to say though about Dana Lewis or
I
Morrison?
love the moment. Yeah, I love the moment where she like panics because she knows she's gonna have to like be on the stand. And they're like, "Can you please state your name?" She's like, "Fifth Amendment." And they're like, "Girl, it's just your name. Like, it's fine." She's like, "No, Fifth Amendment." I love that moment so much. And then the pieces start like falling into place. But I think that was like such a nice like twist because we're like, your name, but she would have perjured herself. I think it's so funny.
I totally agree. Felicia, anything else about the episode before we move to best lines?
I just really love this episode because it starts the beginning of some really great storylines that branch off in SVU universe. So I just love this episode. I don't love the racism and like, I don't like all of that, but I do love the episode and the acting. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great job.
So let's talk about some of our favorite lines. I've already said the one where she sniffs Munch because I still can't for the life of me figure out what it is that she is smelling. Is it matzah? Because matzah has no smell. Anyway, I don't know what. I'm so confused. I know that Felicia, you really like some of Redding's lines.
Oh yeah, I do. But my favorite one has to be when he invokes the right for counsel and he says, "Let us whites work this out."
Zero brain cells. I
was like, all right. Let's see y'all whites work it out then.
I really like when she's like, "You're going to be judged by a jury of your peers."
Great.
And he's like, "Skinhead's awesome." She's like, "No, you're human peers."
Yes.
You're human peers. It's nice to see the relationship between Munch and his partner too. You see them in a personal expository nonsense that they've got to get through. He was there, she was there. So it's nice to see them personalized in this episode as it's asking questions or following leads or whatever, but looking out emotionally for the people they work with all the time and care for.
Yeah, I really like I love the part where he brings them the smoothie at the end. Daryl in the chat says his favorite line is
great bit.
Requisite tuna feminist.
That's funny.
My favorite line is a Brian Ackerman line, and it is, "I need someone to help me right now, preferably someone who speaks English with an IQ above 60.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
Just the worst.
That was interesting to do that. I was very hot because I was nervous. I did that bit maybe 13, 14 times because you got to get all the leads coverage first at the guest star. So I was hot, and Mariska came up and cranked that up a bit, So that bit was saying all that horrible shit. I think that scene was one day.
Daryl agrees the Ackerman intro rant is amazing. It's so good. I also have another favorite from Kyle where he says, "Jews are the descendants of Eve and Satan." And Finn's response is, "And who do you think spawned you?"
Classic.
Oh, it's so good. All right, Taylor, your turn.
Keeping in with Mr. Kyle Ackerman, just like his whole deal, like he is just like the rich, spoiled white boy. I'd like you to repeat what you said about my father to his face. Like, just everything about him, I was like, shut up. Shut up. I actually loved the part of the school where they were trying to like figure out if there was like anyone who had anything against the school, and they're like, has there been any threats, recently fired employees, teachers, disgruntled parents? And she goes, we're a public school, so all of the above. That was so funny. And then of course, when we were talking about Finn and Munch, where'd you get shot? The ass. Kiss and make it better? Like, it's just so great. There's so many good ones.
That's my favorite line now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that your favorite is like a sweet one, and my favorite one is like super anti-Semitic.
No, but as I say, it's nice for now they're on a different level, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think sometimes
when.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask. Seasons was he on the show?
Munch.
Oh, God.
Munch was there from season 1 through 17, 16, 17.
Was it that long?
I'm only in season 13 now. He's still there, so.
Well, because we did the show where we did the episode where he left.
He's before Kragan, right? He's before Kragan. Yeah. So sad they're both gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. When I did Penetration, I think that's what it was called. I said hi to Chris, who couldn't be a kinder, nicer, sweeter dude. How long are you going to do this? And he goes, oh man, I'm out. It wasn't public at that time, so what's that like? What's that like? 14 seasons he had been on the show. He goes, I'm ready. He was, I guess. He was ready. And he went on to do some, you know, much different stuff on television. A lot of comedies, for one. Mm-hmm. He was great, but now he's back. So
yeah.
Yep. April 1st, returning for a crossover and for the premiere of Organized Crime.
Crazy.
Panella, who is a famous and I was supposed to do that episode to play the lawyer in it, but because I've gotten over a year or so, and I was shocked they wanted me to do another lawyer. I mean, I played another, you know. Anyway, whatever. It was an interesting, but right.
Yeah, you were in the newsroom episode in 2017.
No. The brand new one.
Oh, in criminal organized crime.
Sorry.
Oh, interesting. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I was supposed to come back for. But have they aired it yet?
April 1st.
April 1st.
Sorry, I don't mean to sound like I'm bragging. I'm not.
Brag away.
Telling you my resume. No.
Please. That's what you're here for.
I would have a T-shirt that said I was on Law and Order season whatever episode, whatever. Right. And then, like on the back say, "Ask me about it."
And on the back list the episodes like on tour dates, like
like a screen grab of yourself. On the back. You saw
that's funny.
Hello. Oh my gosh.
Genuinely, we asked you to come here and brag about yourself.
No, I don't.
I think already we've established that that's not really your personality, but I totally see how like being interviewed on other platforms, you're being asked about yourself. So you're like, am I like kind of just talking about myself the whole time? But that's what you're here for. So we want to know more about you. That's why you're here.
Look, if we had extra time, we would also spend an hour talking about Dark Angel. So, but we don't. I want to talk about this episode was actually ripped from some headlines. Throw that banner up there for us. Let me tell you about this. As I said earlier, this episode was inspired by the White Aryan Resistance, which is a white supremacist neo-Nazi organization founded by a former KKK Grand Dragon. All right.
Okay.
Yep. It was founded in 1983. And this also rips from the headline of a man named Benjamin Nathaniel Smith, who went on a killing spree. He was a member of the neo-Nazi World Church of the Creator. And during the weekend of 99, he targeted members of racial and ethnic minorities in a random drive-by shooting in Illinois and Indiana. And this connects to this other man named Matthew F. Hale, who was the leader, I believe, or helped start the World Church of the Creator, which is now called the Creativity Movement.
Y'all are just making up words and putting them together at this point. That doesn't mean anything.
Like it's something positive. That sounds positive. That's not right.
Right. I know. But it also was ripped from a different headline, completely separate, of a 2005 Rowan County courthouse shooting, which is also referred to as the Kingston courthouse shooting in Tennessee. A corrections transport officer was shot when a shooter and her husband, Jennifer Forsyth Hyatt, and her husband George pleaded guilty to robbery from the courthouse and started shooting people at the courthouse. So I think like they took this like courthouse corrections officer thing and mixed it with the Nazis.
Yeah.
So wait, I'm stuck on the real people that this happened to. So like we're already in court for being charged with robbery. So we's gonna like up the ante to murder.
Yeah. But she was in the court for the robbery and then pulled out a gun and started shooting people.
Wow.
All right. That's definitely proof of your innocence. Yeah.
So and that like all melds into is a bunch of cases. You can look it up if anybody cares to check that out. But really it was mostly based on the White Aryan Resistance, who spells out war. I personally, I think all the acronyms and stuff is amusing because it's like so dumb.
Oh my God.
So those are the headlines that this was ripped from. But what we do here on S Review each week is we have a poll. Taylor, tell us about this poll.
Yes. Last week I asked you guys, or I guess 2 weeks ago, that was our last new episode, The Only Way Out is Through, and I asked who is or was the most chaotic squad family member. And though last week we met Miss Lily Bustani, she got 0% of the votes. I guess she was fine, which is true. She was not that chaotic, but she was fun. In third place, we have Simon Marston, rest in peace. He got 10.3% of the votes. In second place, we have Kathleen Stabler with 13.8% of the votes. And with a just enormous lead, over 3/4 of the votes, we have Kim Rollins, which that checks out. I figured she was the front runner, but glad to see it confirmed. This week, we asked you guys what your favorite Dana Lewis episode is. And like I said, she only has 4, which is so surprising to me. I thought she had at least like 6 or 7, but she only has 4. We just talked about this one. This is her first appearance, of course. Currently is in second place with 40% of the vote. We also have Informed, which is season 8, episode 1. That is the one where the whole environmentalist whole thing gets introduced before Benson goes undercover, which is a wonderful arc, by the way. We have season 12, episode 8, Penetration. That is where Dana says that she has been attacked. And then we have, of course, the very divisive 14, which is called Secrets Exhumed. And that's where they locked her up, but because she committed a murder. But I don't believe it. I think it's all an act, and I think that she's fine and she's going to come back.
All right, we'll tell you where to find this poll in just a bit. Before we wrap things up here, we got to talk about what did we learn this week. I think I learned a lot, There are lots of things we could say that we learned. I guess one of the big ones is the Nazi flag is illegal to buy in the U.S. or illegal to have, something like that.
From my understanding, yeah.
All right. According to JC.
Look it up.
All right.
Yeah. I play a billionaire.
Right.
He knows what he's talking about, guys.
I mean, I think I'm a lawyer, but that's only because I have 22 seasons of SVU under my belt. Taylor, what did you learn this week?
Skip me, come back to me.
Okay, Felicia, what did you learn this week?
Dang, I wanted to tell her to go first.
I don't know. Like, I learned so much, but like,
I learned no one can tell me what Jews are supposed to smell like.
Well, I have no answer for you for that. What I learned this week, I learned that I learned more about, I mean, it was a reminder, I don't say I learned, but I've learned more about like the system as far as it applies to like foster children, and that it is a systemic issue, because obviously there's a reason why it's quote unquote easier to adopt Black children as opposed to white children, and children, of course, of a certain age. Just like a inside of that, and then how that can be manipulated by people. I never even considered how people could manipulate that situation for a plethora of reasons. None, I think, are probably positive. What else did I learn? I learned that, dang, I didn't really learn anything, I don't think.
That was a good learn.
That was actually a very good learn. On a very surface level, I learned that Munch likes fig milkshakes, which is a very interesting flavor. But now I'm like, I kind of want to try it. Like, I'm thinking Fig Newton, but I thought that was an interesting little fact that we learned. I was like, oh, fig milkshake. Okay.
I imagine that would taste good. A fig.
Right?
Fig.
Yeah.
I just think about people grinding up Fig Newtons.
Contextualize episode and what's happening now. I mean, but it has changed, an awareness you've kind of dealt with in your own life. Stuff that today necessarily on network TV. So, and which isn't to say the show and where that was coming from and what was tolerated but my point is made.
Yeah, I think you're right. Felicia, we had you. Taylor, we had you. Everybody spoke. Everybody went.
Yes.
What did you learn? Yeah.
Everyone went.
I learned the thing about the Nazi flag. I know that it's illegal to have them in Germany. I know that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that. I didn't know about the US though. That's crazy.
Wrong.
I mean, also, I think if it's not true, JC said it.
I
Put it on him.
said it, blame me.
We will, don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I learned. Also, I didn't learn any new anti-Semitic slurs, which I guess is.
I did. I was like,
did too.
I didn't.
Really?
I was like,
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I grew up in Indiana.
Oh, that's
very Christian, and yeah.
I mean, and it's diverse where I'm from, but it's mainly just like Catholics and Protestants too. So it was like there wasn't a lot of Jewish kids or like a lot of Jewish culture. Like I think one time we were watching an episode and they were talking about gefilte fish, and I had no clue like what gefilte fish was. And Yael had to like tell me. I was like, oh, I had no clue what that was. So I don't even know enough culturally about the Jewish community to know what offensive things to say. So, but I'd like to start with the non-offensive things to learn first. I would like to learn more, but I want to start with the non-offensive first.
That's fine. I'll teach you both.
Oh wait, no.
I'll teach you both.
And she's not going to tell you the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, Yeah, this is such a fun episode. Thank you so much, JC, for being here. Thank you for chatting with us and telling us stories from the set. This
You guys are
so
all
fun.
And being yourself.
so kind and nice.
Yes.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, maybe too much.
We try.
We're too nice. I don't think
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I've never been told I'm too nice.
I haven't heard that, but I just was going to receive it. Thank you.
Hey, what new one? What news? Are you?
I'll tell you after we get off of here.
So until next episode, Taylor, why don't you tell everyone there where they can find you in the poll?
Yes, you guys can find me in the poll on Twitter at alphabet_Ann, and you can also find me on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
Awesome. And Felicia, where are you at?
I'm on Instagram at It's Felicia Michelle. Obviously, that's my favorite platform. Y'all know I don't tweet like that, but if you want to go on Twitter, I'm on Twitter at It's Felicia on Air.
And JC, you're on the internet as well.
I have no idea what my.
All right, I got it. Hold on, I got it.
Yeah, what do you got? What do you got? Tell them my thing.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's at JC MacKenzie on Twitter, and then you mostly use your Instagram, which is at JC MacKenzie Official.
Ooh,
so what are those things again?
Yeah, I got it. I got you covered. Don't you worry. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, JC, for being here. Of course, a reminder, if you need the RAINN Hotline, it's 1-800-656-4673. We will be back. The next 2 weeks are still reruns, so we're doing older episodes, and then we'll be back with the new episode April 1st. That is the organized crime crossover. We'll be doing that episode. We are not promising that we will continue watching organized crime. We cannot make that promise. Thanks, everybody.